up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, July 13th, also known as opening day at Saratoga. And this flickers off. What's up, man?
What's up, buddy? What's going on, everybody out there? Yeah, we are 6 minutes away from the ninth race. If you're listening to us live, and if you're not, then you probably don't care about that. But yeah, it's been a day at Saratoga for sure. It's at times it's been kind of what I thought, and at times not. I think the biggest thing, the problem I've had, really hit and miss, number one, and really like, hey, I like this horse second and it wins. I like this horse third and it wins. You know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of been up and down, but a fun day regardless.
Well, you know, even going into it, you and I and a couple of us were talking. It's like it didn't necessarily. I thought it was an underwhelming opening day card. You know, it's great to have Saratoga back, and obviously you look at the Friday card, it gets better. Yeah. Saturday card gets way better. Like it. We're good, but the opening day card, so the fact that your results are kind of all over the place doesn't necessarily totally surprise you, considering kind of the caliber of horses we thought we were seeing anyways.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. You know, the first card here, since they've kind of expanded things, it's always a little bit like this, and then it really heats up. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of my thing as well, Nick. Like, it's been a little frustrating because I've been in position a lot, and it's one of those days where it's like the horse that might knock me out. It's like, well, why didn't I play that one? You know, you look back at it, but it's just like, well, you had to go like too deep, and the third horse you would have used beat you type of day. I feel like handicapping's fine. It's just kind of been, you know, luck of the draw hasn't been quite my way. But a couple races left here, live in the slate, pick 3. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull it up for those that are live. We'll kind of talk about this race and watch it live. We won't show it, but we'll watch it live and we'll kind of comment on here. But yeah, because we're gonna try to do this where we talk about every stakes race Thursday to Sunday on Blinkers Off. So you're getting every single stakes at Saratoga, and starting off with this one, which is the Charlottesville. And you know, it sucked that we had some scratches here in the race. It's race 9. Like I said, it's 4 minutes to post. We're looking at the live odds, 7-5 on Wine on Tap. You know, 5-2 off the morning line. Wine on Tap was a horse that, you know, wasn't surprised would be the favorite, especially after the scratches. I thought that performance last time out was a wow performance. I think everyone did. 76 buyer. But are you willing to play 7-5 here?
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Yes, I am. I liked this horse the second most on the card, and I liked the 4 Somali, or in the 4th race, like the number 5 Salama, if I could talk. But yeah, but this is the other horse I liked best. I think she's just much better than the rest. I really think it's a 2-horse race. I think the 5 and the 6, or the 5 and the 7 are the 2 to beat. So look, I was talking to Vinny a little bit earlier today. He said, you know, the only thing about the 7, the horse that she beat didn't come back to run very well, but, you know, she beat that horse fairly easily. These connections are pretty tough to beat in these 2-year-old races. So, yeah, I like the 7, even at this price. And the 5 Saratoga Secret, look, Dwayne Lucas comes up here and wins these 2-year-old races still, you know? So I think these are the 2, and I would be really surprised if anybody other than those 2 win.
Daughter of Arrogate, training lights out, debut. I mean, anytime you have a debut winner from Lucas, like you said, and then they show up at Saratoga, you know that you know they may not run like, they may not be like, let's say, like in the Kentucky Oaks next year. Maybe they will, knowing, you know, if you can get them there, they got 4 legs, they might be there. But you know, they may not be the high caliber. But when they're right in these kind of 2-year-old races, like you said, he'll win some of these. And so it's hard to toss. I kind of liked, not on top, but I think the 11 is a little bit of a wild card for me. I mean, if you're playing against, that's fine. But as far as value goes, you're getting 9-1. And, you know, that race was really impressive on debut on synthetic at Gulfstream Park. So, of course, you're getting the switch over. You don't know what you're going to see out of that. But got a big buyer, you know, all things considered, second highest buyer in the field, third highest buyer in the field. But, you know, if the horse, it was kind of got over some trouble trip, comeback winner that finished second in that race. So, you know, Cassie trained, Pratt jumps aboard. So it's like, at 9-1, if the horse does take to dirt, you know, I wouldn't be totally shocked if the horse were to upset, but would be kind of my wild card play in the race.
I agree. I had the 11 and third, and would not be surprised either. You see Cassie do this a lot. You know, he'll debut a horse on synthetic and then move him over to the dirt. And Yeah, I mean, this early in their career, you don't really know what they are, I mean, their trainers have a good idea, but they're experimenting with stuff a little bit. So I wouldn't be shocked the 11 wins. I just think the 5 and 7 are a little bit better, got a little bit better connections for a race like this one.
So while we're waiting for them to run this race, we'll, before we move on to the rest of the actual blinkers off, it's a good opportunity to talk about the meet in itself and why, it's it's such an amazing meet, but it's a tough meet and it can be an aggravating meet. And there can be days like this. This is, of course, is on day one, but there can be days like this there where, the talent is just so good. And, maybe not today is that case where it's the opposite, but it is Saratoga. The races can be unpredictable at times. Then you have days where it's really tough days where the card is just unbelievable and you feel like you could be right and wrong the whole day. So how do you kind of, get through a whole meet of this and kind of keep your head high and not be, changing tactics? And, you've done this over year over year over year. So what's some of the kind of the angles and things that you've kind of noted whenever you play Saratoga kind of long term?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think it's a good point to bring up because there are going to be days where you kind of whiff here. Same with Del Mar that's coming up. The racing is very contentious. You just kind of helter skelter how it goes. So you just can't get down on it, and you can't get upset over one day. And I've always tried to say, when you get in a slump with something, if you've proven over time that it works, and then you get in a little bit of slump, you kind of just got to stay the course and stay what you do, and eventually the variance will come back your way. And that's kind of how I feel about Saratoga. This meet in general, it's always a little funky at times. I feel like the first couple of weeks are harder than the last few weeks. So this really isn't anything new, but tomorrow you may kind of use that same kind of logic and everything comes in your way.
Yeah. I mean, it's especially because, if you go like 4 weeks, the whole first month,
Right.
and you can't hit anything, and like, okay, you might want to change things up a little bit. But as long as if you have success and you stay the course, yeah, I mean, like Nick, you do this long enough, you got to stay the course. And Saratoga is what I've found over the years is it's just one of those that it's not, you can get good prices, you can get, because the talent is so good, and you really don't have to have a great percentage. You just have to hit one or two here and there that are, as long as you look for those positive VV situations, and you can make money, because of the payouts are so much better because it's a tough, they're tougher to hit. So you kind of have to go into that knowing, yeah, I am going to hit less, but when I do hit, I need to make it pay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you said it. You said it right there. I feel like Del Mar, especially, and Saratoga to some degree as well. Del Mar, I mean, the variance is just wild, and like you said, you just have to cash one or two a day, and you're fine. I mean, I think these summer meets more than anything else, picking your spots is really important as well. Sometimes day in and day out throughout the year, you can kind of play every race and you're okay. Here, there's just some races that just aren't going to set up very well. They're not going to set up for what you kind of like to do. To kind of be a little bit more selective at these two meets is really good because look, they're bigger fields than what we're used to day in and day out. And, everybody wants to run their horses here. So that leads to a little bit more of a craziness in some of these races. So take a race like this one. If you love the 5, you love the 7, say you want to throw the 11 in there, this is one you can kind of attack.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good example for me is, was it last year? I know it was last year, but I can't remember if it was Travers next day or if it was Whitney next day. When was it we went to the track with Slim and his brother? And
it was the day after the Travers, I want to say.
So Travers Day, we had it up. Like, it wasn't a terrible day. Like, we hit some stuff, but we just missed out on a big cash. Was it the pick 3 or the double? I don't remember with that. Sword dancer prior.
Yep.
We had Epicenter, but it was kind of like an up and down kind of. And then, so it's like, it was one of those frustrating days. Next day we go to the track, have fun. And I cash this huge exacted, just not like I liked it, you know what I mean? But it was just one of those, if I played it the same way I played Saturday, it's just, you just have to keep playing. And I had a positive weekend because of that. And it's just like, you can't just get mad or get upset. It's like, oh, I sucked on Saturday, I'm not going to play. keep playing. I mean, I know that's like the gambler's motto, but you got to keep firing away.
Well, there's 40 days in this meet, right? So don't quit after one day and miss the next 39.
Exactly. All right, they're loading for the Schuylerville. We'll see. Look like we got 6-5 on wine on tap, 9-2 on closing act. Saratoga Secret is 3-1, 8-1 on Silver Tree. Did you like closing act at all?
Not really. But Asmussen is completely on fire, so his horse has been running better than what they look on paper. So, but I didn't look at closing act and go, "Ooh, yeah, I think he's gonna or she's gonna fire a big one" or anything like that.
We'll find out. They are about to go. They're off.
7
gets to the lead. Pretty broke well. See if she's not going to go though. The ones looks like
the one. So yeah, Carmelina. That's not shocking to me.
1, 5, 7 sitting off of the 2 there, about 4 wide. 2's right behind them. 6, 8, and 11 is in the back, but close. They're all kind of tightly bunched there.
The 7 is in like the spot where you win, and so is the 5 for these type of races. I'm saying
the 7. Really, the 7 should not lose if the horse is anywhere near what she was last out. So.
Yeah, unless the 5 is the horse.
I went 22 and 3.
The 2's really sneaking up too and running a nice race. It's got to be one of these 3 coming on here. It looks like this 2 wants to cut the corner or cut through those 2 horses.
7 is looking a little weary-legged. I don't think the 7's going to do it, folks.
I think the 2's going to do it. The 2's going to run away.
Yeah.
The Lucas horse is fighting it. Uh-oh. No, I think the 2's just drifting.
Yeah.
2's got it easy. So 21 to 1 shot right there.
2, 5, I think 7, 6, 7 looks like maybe.
Wow.
So yeah, just like we wrote it up. 6 wins or 2 wins. The horse that we literally didn't talk about. So look at the horse galloping out too.
Oh, that was a dominant effort. Horse got a little squirrely in the lane, or that could have been like a 6-length win. I'll look up here. I mean, that's a really good call by Nick. He called that out before. He liked the 2. That was not only a win, that was a dominant performance. This was the first, this was the first time starter in the group. So there you go.
Practical Joke, trained by Contessa. Castellano had the mount. They're training well. I mean,
had some bullet works, but 1 of 1, 1 of 2, then a 1 of 19. So
Contessa's 0 for 15 in 2-year-olds and 0 for 8 in first starts. But hey, now not anymore.
Not anymore. Unbelievable.
That's crazy. Good job, Nick. I mean, that's just never one I'm going to pick based off of those stats. But you obviously saw something we didn't. So,
yeah, I mean, a first-time starter there. I don't know. This is not a knock on Nick's call there, but I don't know how good those other horses are if they let a first-time starter not only win but absolutely dominate that race.
Well, and the 7 was awful, and the 7 dominated last out, and so kind of makes you wonder what that field was. I mean, literally all those horses that, like you said, that they got beat there. It's like, how good are these? So maybe not very good is the answer. All right, well, welcome to Blinkers Off. So starting off, Saratoga first stakes is in the books. We got 39 more days of stakes to go. So looking forward to that. We're going to talk about a bunch of them here coming up. But before we get into the show fully, I wanted to get your thoughts on a little bit of last weekend. Belmont Oaks, Belmont Derby, Cornhusker. You were there for the Cornhusker. So we'll start with the Cornhusker. What'd you think? Ain't Life Grand finished, really ran well, ran a good third. Maybe probably got the worst trip out of that top 3. Somehow Giant Game won. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a tough one, to be honest. I wasn't disappointed in the horse. I thought he did extremely well. I thought he ran really well. I felt like he kind of ran his race. The track was really against him, and they just kind of let that horse walk out there, and that was the end of it. Giant Game didn't back up. Kind of wish Ain't Life Grand would have been a little bit closer up the backside. I kind of liked his position early, but he ran really well, and it's hard to get too upset about it because I think he showed up and did what he does. It just wasn't good enough, but a good third for sure. And I thought Skippy ran pretty well to get second too.
Yeah, Skippy ran all right. I think A Life Grand is a solid horse, and they should be happy with that horse. And I would like to see him, continue to try tough races because I do think he's got the talent. I never can figure out where, I don't know if it's a jockey thing, or if it's just the horse is weird, but it's just like the horse. I always feel like I never know where the horse is actually going to be placed in the race.
Yeah. It's kind of a thing. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's playing to speed. He has some speed. Probably should have been closer. After what we'd seen all night, I think he probably should have been closer. And you're right. He doesn't have to be that far back. And I think that's the number one kind of disappointment when you look at it and you go, yeah, he probably left him a little bit too much to do. And there wasn't any reason to, because he has more speed than that. So, that was frustrating, but that's racing. If he turns the corner and he blows by him, nobody's worried about it, and that didn't happen. But, I think next time he will be put in the race a little bit.
When he turned the corner, it did look like, oh, here he comes. Here's that stride.
Yeah.
Kind of thought for a second. Plus, considering Giant Game was in the lead, you're like, he's not going to hold. And he did.
He did. Yeah. Giant Game was actually in Kelly's barn because Dale Romans, shipped into Kelly's barn and actually hung out with Dale till about 1 a.m. that day or morning, I should say.
Dale, I mean.
Dale was there. Dale and Kelly and a bunch of us were there. It was I'd never met him. He is an hilarious person. I'll put it that way. He's hilarious.
I asked, did you kick him in the belly?
No, I didn't. Dale's looking great, by the way. He's had to have lost 150 pounds. No exaggeration.
Really?
That's crazy. Oh my God. I didn't recognize him at first. He's looking fantastic.
Wow.
So,
go Dale. Look at that.
It's crazy. In typical Dale Romans fashion, he brought a favorite in and it ran awful. And he brings that kind of weird 9-1 shot and it wins. So,
that's just it's just proof that you can't play Dale Romans at short prices. You only play him. It's just like McPeak, the next race was brutal because that horse, which I don't even remember the horse's name, that I had at like 26-1 that I gave Alf Bleekers off. I thought I was going to win the dang thing. That was a total joke of a race, the Iowa Derby.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go to the next, the Belmont Oaks, Belmont Derby. A couple thoughts I had. I'll go first. Mission of Joy. She's dead to me.
Yeah.
She'll be forever dead to me. If you had the Belmont Derby Bible, you knew that we were alive with my plays. We're about $1,000 cash if it goes 1-5 in that race, because we had the 5 prerequisite second keyed. It comes in 1-5. By the way, she finished second, and so got that. $1,000 cash by just doing that with the pick 3. I had a double. I had the exacted there. The one, I don't know. You could have drawn up a better trip for the one, and she just I don't know what happened, but the one, she just had nothing left. So that was really. I thought the Oaks was very disappointing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the Oaks was a weird one. For sure. To not finish at all Mission of Joy with that trip was surprising. And Silver Knot got the same trip and didn't finish either. The difference I think with him is he was never going to beat Far Bridge as good as he ran, but with Mission of Joy, that race was right there for her to go take it. And she didn't quicken. And I was shocked. I thought she was sitting in the catbird seat, but you got to run when they ask you to run in the end. And there was no run from that horse whatsoever.
Yeah, it was one of those things that you don't ever, like, when you have a big cash looming, and I didn't want to get too excited, but I thought, I've got this. This is as good as cash,
Yeah,
and
I was sitting with 3 or 4 guys of Kelly's friends, and we were watching it together, and every one of them were like, "Oh, that the one if the one's any good, I think this is over." Well, I don't know. Was the one no good? I don't know because it was definitely not over at all.
Well, I don't know who we should be more mad at. I guess probably her, considering the cash. But man, you go to the Derby, Silver Knot is just, I don't know what. It's clear the distance is not that, going that long was not gonna be his liking. But man, he's unbettable now. You cannot bet him. Far Bridge on the flip side, a horse that's been consistent as could be, finally broke through and won, and really looked good. It wasn't like, by default. I mean, no, I think this horse is really coming into his own, and this is a nice turf horse for Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, no, for sure. Far Bridge was awesome. I mean, there was no beating him. So, that's kind of the difference of the two races, right? There was no beating him whatsoever, and he, like I said, he's one of the better 3-year-olds we have. Period. Even the race last time out, and the both races, honestly, that he lost. Gosh, he ran well enough to win. He just didn't. He didn't get any luck, for lack of a better term. This one, there was no issues. There was no problems.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, it was another horse that you and I were texting each other during those races, and both times it was like, well, they're in perfect spots. Like, I don't know how you could ask for a better trip, and then they just, had nothing left. And Silver Knot especially, it was, yeah. You gotta bet the crap out of Web Slinger next out. I mean, that horse definitely got a pretty tough trip. Came running late. The Foxes, the horse that came flying late, finished second there. What do you think of the Fox? Is that one that you think? If we do see the horse again over here, do you think is that a horse that you liked, or was that more of a case of just maybe the rest of them weren't all that great?
That's a hard question. I didn't love him going into the race. I like him better coming out of it. He got a lot of experience. I think that's really good for him moving forward. I don't know. I'm on the fence with him. I still don't think he's fabulous, but I think his trip / ride, however you want to phrase it, was not ideal. And I think, therefore, I kind of, if he comes back and runs again, I'll be a little more interested in him next time than I was this time. So I guess that's a roundabout way of saying he was fairly impressive to me.
Yeah, I even going into it though, that was why I didn't pick him. I don't think he's world class, as far as like that Euro, shippers or whatever coming over. So I still think that. I think the horse win one of our races over here? Probably, considering depending on who, shows up. But, if they try something at Saratoga, I mean, it's certainly going to be tougher than that race. And so, I mean, the horse will have to, I think, get a little lucky to win one of those. But I do think the horse does have some talent.
He just kind of has an awkward move, or when he makes his move, I watch it again. Watch this one too. His back end gets wobbly. I noticed that on all these replays, and that was the one thing kind of held me up. And it's just like he can't keep his back end straight. I don't know. It's weird. I don't really know how to describe it any better than he's just kind of wobbly. But he's like a small horse. He really is tiny, and I wonder if that's got a little bit something to do with it as well. I'm not one to sit here and talk about configurations of a horse, but he's definitely on the smaller side.
Yeah, it looked like he got shot out of a cannon though, top of the strip.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's got to move. Yeah,
flying late. Of course, he had a terrible break, and he kind of had a bad break. I think it was either the last race. I don't remember. I don't have his form in front of me, but he had kind of a similar situation where he broke poorly and was further back than probably he wanted to be, and so he certainly didn't do him any favors. But yeah, to finish second, I don't know. I didn't necessarily love. Like, I thought the horses that ran past or behind Far Bridge, other than maybe him, were more disappointing than like, oh, they ran pretty good. Like, I just thought, like, look at the Chad Brown horses. They were awful. They weren't very good at all. So, man, Chad Brown, by the way, I'm having his horses. I feel like lately have been like all or nothing. You get all or nothing with his.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now.
I agree.
All right. What do you say we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stakes races to cover on Blinkers Off. So today's show, we're going to preview and get picks for all the stakes races opening weekend at Saratoga. That includes So we just did a little bit of Thursday there, but Friday, Saturday, and even the quick call came out on Sunday. So we'll talk about that one a little bit as well, including on Saturday, the grade 1 500,000 Diana Stakes, which is a doozy of a race. It's, it's worth the price of admission. Let's put it that way. If you're going to Saratoga or watching Saratoga on Saturday, let's go. Yeah, the Diana. It is. I think an Italian will win, but he's got 3 in the race. So
yeah. Has there been a lot of outrage about that race on Twitter?
The Diana?
Yeah.
I haven't looked. So
good for you.
No, you're proud of me. I try to try to stay off of it, other than the weekends.
Very good. I was just assuming everybody is upset about it. 5 horses and 4 of them are Chad Brown.
Well, that's why I don't get on it. Saw some. I got on there briefly for today because I was tweeting out of the Blinkers Off, going live or whatever, and it was so I saw something was going on with Swift Hitter and people bitching or something. And I just said, okay,
that's enough.
Enough for me.
That's enough to not get on it, not care.
Ever. So, all right. Saratoga is officially here. We're going to go through this kind of rapid fire-esque, but we're going to talk about these races more than just like we do in rapid fire, but huge weekend of racing kicking off the Saratoga 2023 racing meet. Of course, Halterman and I will be there here in a few weeks, but until we're there, let's talk about some of these stakes. We'll kick things off on Friday, which if you're listening to this on Thursday, it's tomorrow. If you're listening to this Friday, just for those people that don't know, it's today. Race 4, the Wilton Stakes, 135K fillies, 3-year-olds. You're going 1 mile here, field of 5. And dude, I think I looked at this one almost as long as I did any other races, even though it's only a 5-horse field and you've got a couple Chad Browns, 7-5 on randomized. Exceed is an 8-5. 7-2 on Sacred Wish, on Song Melody, 5-1, Just Catherine at 12-1. That's the field. But dude, it's just I don't like either one of the Chad Brown horses.
Really? I'm surprised. I am surprised you don't like either one of them.
Don't get me wrong, they could definitely win. They probably should win, but just based off those prices, I don't know how you play them.
Yeah, I understand that for sure. Listen, people have kind of chased the 4 a seed in the last 2 races. I feel like Vinny, and this is not a knock on Vinny, but he did try to chase him a couple times. I just feel like the 4 is in the right spot finally. So the horse breaks the maiden on March 16th at Gulfstream Park. They go right to the 8 Bells to take on Red Carpet Ready and Bunny's Gold. And then they go right to the grade 1 Acorn. Now we're here in $135,000 ungraded stakes going a flat mile. I think the 4 makes a ton of sense. So I put a seed on top in this one. I think she's going to be pretty tough to beat in this spot. I would be pretty disappointed if she doesn't show up and at least run a much better race than she did the last 2 times.
Yeah, the 8 Bells was the one where she burned me. I had her. Well, of course, it didn't really matter because well, I did. I guess I did. I had Exceed. And I had Money's Gold both in a pick 3. And I thought if Money's Gold doesn't win, it should be Exceed. And it was Red Carpet Ready. And then I play Red Carpet Ready the next time, and she's awful. So yeah, clearly can't figure them out. But no, I'm with you. I'm worried that the off the Lasix might be a big issue for the 5. Maybe that doesn't always mean anything, but ran really well on Lasix, ran really poorly off of it. The Acorn just got demolished. Of course, was against some good horses in that one, but Exceed is the horse of the Chad Browns that I would want to play if I was picking between the 2. I think that distance was too far last time out. Makes sense, this distance. I ultimately blocked them out. I was like, okay, which one am I going to pick? I think the 2 is really interesting. Stretching out has been really good. Really has only one poor effort, and that was 2 back, but I guess on debut was not good, but stretching out has looked really good last out. Gets size aboard. I think that horse is really interesting from a pace perspective. And listen, I'm chasing a little bit of the 3 Sacred Wish. I think that's going to be my top play here. Getting the cut back, I think is a big deal. Going a mile, this horse has been ran mile 16th, mile 8th, mile 16th. Of course, a couple of graded stakes races, the Gulfstream Mark Oaks and the Black Eyed Susan. Last time out, going mile 16th on the muddy, which might be a factor. I don't know. I mean, the weather seems like it could rain a little bit tonight into tomorrow at Saratoga. So if it does, the track would be beneficial to the 3, I would think, or at least wouldn't hurt. Gets Johnny V back aboard. So I do think the horse is very interesting at, I don't know if we call it an upset, but upsetting one of the Chad Browns. So Sacred Wish is my pick to win this race. But I'm avoiding this race like the plague. I have no interest in it. It definitely feels like one of those races where it's like Chad Brown should win and he's going to be like 6-5, or I'm going to pick the wrong between the 2 and the 3. So it just feels like I'm going to try to avoid it and get by it as much as I can. I'll probably play the 2 and the 3 here and just hope I survive. So I got the 3 Sacred Wish. I don't necessarily think this is an awesome race. I don't think either one of those Chad Brown horses are great, right?
We've kind of seen that neither one of them are, in my opinion. Yeah, I think they're average.
We've established that, right?
Yep.
All right, let's go later in the card here on Friday, race 9, the Coronation Cup Stakes, $150K for Phillies 3-year-olds, going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. It's a pretty good field here. Field of 8 lines up here, and you've got, Wesley Ward bringing in Love Reigns at 7-5. Love Reigns is like one of those horses that runs like twice a year, maybe. Yeah. Just shows up when she needs to. Love Appeals, 2 Love horses, 3-1 for Clement. Got 7-2 on My Sweet Affair. Basarati, if I say that right, at 8-1 I thought was somewhat interesting. What do you think of the field here?
I think it's a really good field. I think you look at these horses, and there's a lot of them that you got to respect in this group. I thought almost every one of them, maybe not the 6 or 7, had a shot here. End of the day, I think Love Reigns is just better, and I think she'll get the job done here. You look at, like you said, she has been so spotty. Broke the maiden so impressively at Keeneland, so impressively that they had to go to Ascot. She ran extremely well over there, came back, won a stakes up here very easily. And then if you remember, she went all the way from August 21st to the Breeders' Cup November 4th without a race, and they missed a race at Keeneland that could have got her ready. She basically showed up to the Breeders' Cup. She didn't have a race that day and got walloped, but came back Keeneland, ran really well, dramatic stretch ride, got the job done last time out. I think if she brings her top race, they're not going to beat her. However, Joel Rosario is aboard. He has been on a big-time slump, so that has to be a worry, but I still think Love Reigns is the best horse out of this group.
The beneficial thing for Love Reigns is he did everything he could to get that horse beat in the Limestone.
Yes, he did.
And she won. That was an unbelievable race. I was watching replays and I almost forgotten about it. I was like, oh man, there's no, it almost looked like she was going to finish 4th almost when the end of that race. And she somehow squeezed through, finally got run and was really impressive in the Limestone. She's definitely the one to beat, but I'm not totally interested at 7-5, and I'm going to maybe you get Rosario'd a little bit here. I like the 1, My Sweet Affair. I think this is the one that could upset the thing. Irad Ortiz gets back on board, was on this horse debut, and then the Limestone as well. He finished 3rd that day. It's been kind of one of those horses. Like I think the scary part with him or with her picking her is she's been one of those horses that's kind of been like a bridesmaid type horse, runs well, doesn't quite get the job done. Runs well, doesn't quite get the job done. I do think the pace is going to be solid enough in here for this horse. And if the horse can sit a trip, I like the fact that Irad Ortiz rode the horse and then now gets back aboard for George Weaver, who they team up and do pretty well together. So you listen, I'm playing the 4. I don't have any issues playing the 4, but I do like the 1. If you're going to get an upsetter, I do think the 1 could upset the thing if Rosario gets a little Rosario in his system. So did you have any thoughts on My Sweet Affair or anyone else?
Yeah, I actually had My Sweet Affair in a second. I thought that horse would do very well coming back out of Laurel. I think the horse will kind of try to turn the tables on Basarati, who actually beat her last time out. But speaking of Basarati, I think that's the other one, 8-1.
Yeah.
the 8 horse here. 3 straight wins since moving over to the turf. If you notice, the first race on the turf was a $25,000 claimer. Then we went to an allowance, and then we went to a stakes. So the step up has been great for this horse since moving to the turf. The problem is this is going to be an even more of a step up compared to where we were. But if she gets out to the front, which I think she's going to, I mean, anytime you get out in front here, it's sometimes can be tricky to catch them. I wouldn't be shocked. So I put the 8 in third.
I'm with you. I think that is it's a huge wild card horse. I think it's unlikely. Yeah, probably. Like you said, like has to step up. But listen, she's had to step up in every race she's ran in on the turf, and she's passed with flying colors. Her numbers keep improving with every race. Her time form improves with every race on the turf. I should, keep that. But yeah, I mean, speed can be dangerous, and sometimes these horses, if Rosario gets Rosario and the one doesn't, likes to hang like she does, I mean, maybe we got an upset looming. So T-Gaff getting the mount as well. I like that. So, and Brittany Russell obviously had a hell of a year. So I wouldn't be like, I think you could, if you can afford it, use her in your sequence, because she could be, everyone's going to have Love Reigns, everyone's probably going to have the 2 or the 1 but the 8, you're going to knock a lot of people out if you play the 8. So I don't hate that pick at all. And I think the horse has got a huge shot on the front end. All right, let's go to Saturday racing at Saratoga and kick things off here of the day with race 4, the Diana Stakes. So the main event is the first stakes on the card because of that shorter field. It's grade 1, 500K, fillies, mares, 4-year-olds and up, going 1 1/8 miles on the turf. Field of 5 shows up here, and we might as well call it the Chad Brown Diana, because we have 4 of the 5 all out of the Chad Brown barn. And by the way, all of them seemingly like formidable opponents. Feve Rover for Cassie. Let's move past that one for a second. In Italian at 2-5. Market Segmentation at 4-1. Fluffy Socks at 8-1. And White Beam, I've been looking for when this horse is going to show up again, at 5-1. So it's in Italian, or is it one of the other? I don't know if you say new shooters, but it's in Italian, or some of her younger, less talented sisters? I don't know. Go ahead.
It's a 5-horse field. Chad Brown has 4 in the race. Chad Brown has the clear pace advantage here within Italian. The only other horse that I think could really press her would be the 3 Market Segmentation. But why would one Brown press another Brown? Why would Jose Ortiz press Irad Ortiz? I explain to me what world where in Italian's not going to get an easy trip around there. And if she doesn't, explain to me how there isn't going to be some fits thrown back in the barn after the race. So to me, I think the 2 just kind of walks around there and wins it. I have a lot of respect for Market Segmentation and really Fluffy Socks and White Bean to a lesser degree, but still a lot of respect for them. To me, I don't think they can catch her, though. That's the problem. Like, if the setup was a little different, maybe, but the pace advantage is there for an Italian. I don't see who goes and gets her. I think she makes it 3 in a row. I know it's chalky 2-5, but when you're the only pace and the only other pace that could be is the same trainer, I just don't see a world where there's going to be a lot of speed in this race.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like it's going to be one of those where it's like, all right, listen, I'll be Irad and Jose for a second. It's like, oh, hey, like just follow me around. Like, let's just, almost like a blocker. You're going to just run. We're going to, we're the 2 best. You don't push me. I won't, I'll just do my thing. You do your thing. It's almost like I could almost see a situation where it's like, we're giving you the race in Italian. Like, we're not going to mess things. Like, you're going to go win this race. We know that. And Market Segmentation is basically going to run. Let's just pretend in Italian's not in the race. Market Segmentation is going to run her race, right? And so it just feels like those 2 are just going to do their own thing. I mean, I do like. I'm kind of with you. I think Fluffy Socks and White Beam. I do have a lot of and it's hard to be go against them. I mean, I thought Lovely Sox looked really good last out. White Bean definitely looked good last out. White Bean is the one that I would be the most interested in as far as like an upsetter, just because I feel like we're learning still about her and what she is. She could be a lot of things, so there's that. But past, I just feel like it's a 2-3 straight exacta, just 2-3, 2-3. Michael, I want it's the in Italian is the 2, so I think you're thinking of that, but I hope you are, unless you like the 1 fever over. Maybe you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely feels like it's just a 2-3 merry-go-round around the track. Like, yeah, that's what I thought. You could see a lot of people like, oh, we didn't learn anything from that race. Like, it kind of feels like it's gonna be like a paid workout type of race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. I mean, Nick's bringing up if it rains, does it change anything? I don't know. I don't know how it'll play. That's a hard question to answer. That turf can get a little bit funky, maybe, but at the same time, it shouldn't change anything as long as the two's still out there in front, unless speed just totally melts out there, which is always possible. But hard question to ask, but you wouldn't think it would change much in this one.
No, I mean, it was like an Italian is running at such a high level right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, not only she's like one of the best, probably what do you say, top 3? Because you got Caravel, you got Up to the Mark, you got an Italian. I mean,
Yep,
that's it. As far
that's a
top
list.
3 turf horses we have in the country. Far
Mm-hmm.
Bridge would be in there a little bit, and 4 or 5, but she's just running lights out, and you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't with her. No one wants to go with her early, and you certainly don't want to go, try to tangle with her because you're going to get burned up. And you almost have a lot of situations. I feel like too, you got a couple other Chad Browns in the races sometimes with her, and so it kind of helps that as well, right? Because they don't push her, and definitely is a little bit of gamesmanship going on.
Well, I mean, the one way to end that is to enter your horse, but at the same time, who's going to enter, and why would they enter in that spot? And then you get into all that. So, I mean, anytime the setup's like this, it's really hard to say, you know what, I don't think she's winning today. Yep. I would love to see a setup with some more speed, but she went to the Breeders' Cup, faced a full field and almost took him gate to wire. So, she's proven she can do it without having to have this kind of setup.
Yeah, and last year she won the Diana as well. I think technical analysis, I know, and then wasn't Bleecker Street a Chad Brown too?
Yep.
So they were in
sure
1, 2, 3 that last year as well, in very similar fashion. She just went out there and kind of just put them out of there. She went like 109, 45 and 109, and just kind of cruised around there. She's just so talented. I think in Italian, I mean, she's got to, like, to me, she needs to win a Breeders' Cup. Like that's her only thing she's missing. She almost did it last year, like you said. That would seal the deal for her as being one of the top turf horses. At least one of the top Chad Brown turf horses that he's had in a long time.
Yep, no doubt.
She just needs to. She almost pulled through last year. Let's see if she can get it done. But in Italian for us, both in the Diana. All right, let's go to race 9 on Saturday. Of course, these are all still at Saratoga. The Kelso Stakes, grade 3, 175K for 4-year-olds and up, going 1 mile on the turf. Field of 8 lined up here. I thought this was a pretty fun race, Halterman. A pretty interesting one. 8-5 on Annapolis, 5-2 all the way on the outside to Casa Creed. But man, you really get to take your pick here if you don't like either one of those. Big Everest is a 5-1. Fila de Arana is 5-1. Anaconda at 6-1. By the way, I don't know if I aced that name, but if I did, I killed that. Like, I don't know if I said it right. I probably can't even say it now. I'm not even gonna try, but I aced it. We'll say it. So, Casa Creed, Annapolis, or someone else.
Oh boy, this is a tough one. You would think Casa Creed's got the class advantage. I think the horse is a little bit better than the rest of these. Been facing a little bit tougher, but stretching out to a mile has me a little bit scared. I win Annapolis. I think Annapolis is going to be really tough to beat in the spot here. You look at the race last in the Coolmore Turf Mile at Keeneland when Casa Creed went up against Annapolis. Annapolis was able to beat him, so he can definitely jump up and run a big race. Last time out, kind of knocked the rust off of Churchill Downs, got a really nice figure for that and was able to get a win. I think he improves off that effort. I went Annapolis on top in this one.
I don't think this is a horse I've picked very often, but I'm with you. I actually went number 2 Annapolis here. I just, I really wanted to pick Casa Creed. It really took a lot of me to not pull the trigger on Casa Creed, but I just, the distance for me is the concern. Can he win at this distance? Yes, he can. He has, but 15 times running at this distance, he's won 3 times, and that's not awesome. Runs well, right? 3 wins, 2 seconds, 4 thirds, runs well, pretty much all of them, but just doesn't quite win. Now on the flip side, like Saratoga, 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 thirds. So the horse runs every time. He's gonna show up with an effort. It's just that mile might be a little bit, and you also wonder now I get it. Like he had to kind of shake the dust off a little bit last time, but is he a little bit? He's 7 years old now.
Yeah.
Like is he kind of is he not quite as potent as he was, a year or 2 ago? So I'm kind of wondering that as well. So that plus the distance is making me kind of go Annapolis. I thought that comeback after running in the Breeders' Cup this past year, thought he looked awesome. I mean, he really did. This is a horse that has looked good a lot of his starts. 6 wins and 9 starts, 2 seconds. I mean, the horse has ran, other than the Breeders' Cup, has ran 1-2 every time. Yep. It's just a really consistent, solid horse, and I do think that this Warfront colt is going to get better as a 4-year-old, and kind of showed it a little bit last time out. Likes this distance, 3 wins at 5 starts, 3 starts at Saratoga, 2 wins in a second. I think he's going to be really good here. So I like Annapolis as well. I think this horse, I don't know that I would single, but because I do think there's some, not just Casa Creed. Like, what about, let's go 5, 6, or 7? Or any interest in those 3? Because I do think all those are in with the shot.
I like Anaconda. I think that's a pretty solid horse, and I like the 5 Big Everest. I think he's just running really well right now. 4 straight wins, obviously, but been doing it against similar-ish company. Beat Anaconda 2 races back, but it was only by a nose. So I think one of those 2 horses make a ton of sense as well. I don't think it's as, like you said, I don't think it's as easy as, well, it's Annapolis and it's Casa Creed. I think these other horses could jump up there and pull a bit of an upset as well.
Yeah, David, that's exactly where my brain went to. So yep. I'm singing it in my head. If I only had the legal rights to play the song, I would, but then we wouldn't get, we get fined. So, all right. Yeah, we're both on on the 2 Annapolis here to win the Kelso. Let's go to the next race on Saturday, race 10, the Sanford Stakes. Of course, kind of the running of the Schuylerville we saw today. Grade 3. This is for the boys this time. 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs. Field of 10 shows up here, and this one, I talked about single, not single. This one feels single bull on the 9 Gold Sweep at 3-5 for Asmussen. Man, this horse has just, that horse race last time out, he absolutely demolished that field, winning by 9. Of course, got beat by Wilson Q on debut. Wilson Q came back, I think, ran 2nd or 3rd in that stakes race, the last out at Ellis Park, but came back to win by 9. Dominant effort. I mean, and the other thing is like, there's no one else in here that I like, enough to pick the upsetter.
That was kind of it. I don't think this field is all that great once you get past him. And, these Asmussen horses, they usually fire in these situations, these young horses up at Saratoga. To me, it's way his race to lose, and that's why he's 3-5. The race at Belmont's good enough. That was 5.5. We're going 6 here. The horse has got speed, but I really like how he's kind of been able to sit off of it, and he's drawn outside. I think that is fantastic. I don't think you beat the 9 here. I like Gold Sweep a lot.
Got a 75 on debut, 75 buyer. Got a 91 buyer next
Mm-hmm.
time out. It's a 2-year-old in that Tremont. Yo-Yo Candy, who finished third that day, is also in here. Is the 4-horse at 15-1. Gets blinkers. Did win on debut. I'm always hesitant though when I see like when a horse just gets demolished by a horse and the buyer comes back fairly strong. It's 67 buyer. I always take a little pause on that just because it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you got the high buyer because the horse that won was dominant. You know what I mean? And so you got to be careful with when you look at that and say, well, he does have one of the higher buyers of the field. Well, he also got smoked by the horse by Gold Sweep. So anyone else in here, like as far as could possibly pull off an upset if for whatever reason the 9 doesn't fire?
Well, I think anytime you're at Saratoga, you've got to look at some of the local connections. You kind of start with that, but then you look through it and it's like, oh boy, there's not a whole lot of local connection in this one. Kind of what we're talking about. Call the Cavalry, I thought was interesting from McPeak. It does feel like a McPeak type of winner. He lured Irad Ortiz Jr. to ride last time out when the horse broke the maiden at Belmont. He gets him back here. When the Ortizes, when they ride for McPeak, it does kind of signal that this is a pretty good horse. I thought the one called the Cavalry, not just the jockey factor, but you kind of look at the race. That was a pretty solid race. Probably can improve off of that one as well. So I thought the one might be an upsetter. Then I don't know. The coach has got the 10 Market Street. We kind of talked about him in the last race here, the Schuylerville, and I could see him jumping up and running a pretty good race.
Yeah, I was going to mention him. I gets T-Gaff aboard, won on debut. Another situation like we talked about earlier where you've got when coach has a big-time horse, a big-time purchase horse that, has won on debut and did it pretty impressively as well. Now, it was at Ellis, of course, / Churchill,
Right.
but it was in the slop. So, again, I don't know I don't think the track will be sloppy on Saturday, but if it is, you got that. But, yeah, I mean, drawing outside of the 9, I don't think is going to do the horse many favors because the horse does like to go before we place, at least did on debut. That's the other thing about these 2-year-olds. You can't take like one race under their belts, especially like when they're running 5.5 furlongs, 5 furlongs. You can't always say like, oh, well, they like to go like there's like 8 horses that want to go to the lead. Well, you like it doesn't really to me. You can't. It's hard to get a pace of the race.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you can like if whatever. It's like this horse clearly is faster than everybody else. Like that's one thing, but it's like to say like, oh, I like the 8, the 7, the 6 are all going to go. It's like, well, not necessarily, like they maybe sit off of it and be able to still run late. So, yeah, if it's not the 9, I would be interested in the 10. And yeah, I agree. The 1 for sure is definitely feels like if he could somehow finagle Irad to ride for him on debut, and get him back to ride here, then maybe a horse isn't too bad. So,
Yep.
and you had to like suck down a short price that day. Now you're getting 8-1. So it's a lot more in the McPeak range that makes him playable there. If the 9, but big if. By the way, since we're talking 2-year-olds,
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's a Speightstown sire, so you wouldn't necessarily believe it's going to go long, although it is out of Giants Causeway Dam, or Dam sire. Do you think this is a horse with potential moving forward as far as down the road, or is this too early to tell?
Sprinter, I think. I don't think the horse. I mean, which is fine. Go out there and win now. Go win as many 2-year-old races as you can. That'd be my advice that they don't need to have from me because they know. Go win these 2-year-old races. I don't think this horse is going to stretch or anything like that. You can go up there and you win a grade 3. That'd be great. And maybe you can go win the Saratoga Special, something like that as well. But I think once you get past these 1-turn races, that horse is going to have some problems.
Yeah, who was that horse that I watched the race? Was it the horse that was the favorite of last year when Forte won? It was like Gulf Coast or Gulf.
Yeah, Gulfport.
Gulfport. That's what it was. Kind of a similar horse, maybe, where it was like maybe just didn't want to go very long and but was very fast and obviously good at that distance. All right, we haven't. I don't know about you. I mean, I've kind of looked over the horses, but obviously you haven't looked at past performances yet. But we'll go to Sunday for race 9 at Saratoga, the final stakes of the weekend, the quick call stakes. It's a grade 3, 175K for 3-year-olds who won 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Get a large field here. Field of 10 shows up, and you got a couple Wesley Ward runners, None Hudson, Eyewitness for Wesley Ward. Draw the 1 and the 3. You got, there's Brad Cox got Charging here, who did not look good the last time out. Maker's got Gaslight Dancer, who I think is pretty interesting. I know you probably haven't looked at this race closely, but initial thoughts?
I'm really interested to see what number 9 Uncashed does. This horse has won 3 straight gate to wire races on the dirt, including a win last time out at Prairie Meadows in the Golden Circle when she won by 8. Now we're coming to Saratoga for Ravelli, and we're getting Irad aboard. I thought that was a very interesting horse. That popped out to me immediately. Kind of the unknown there, but I do like the 9 a little bit. I thought Eyewitness, the 3 horse, was another one. Like I said, as you kind of quickly cap this, it didn't come out too far before we got on the air. Another one's 1 3 in a row, 2 on synthetic, 1 on the turf. I thought Eyewitness would be tough in here too. So I kind of like 9-3, just taking a first glance at it.
Yeah, my initial thoughts were the 10 Gaslight Dancer. I think this is an interesting horse for Maker. It's kind of been knocking on the door. Did win 2 back at Keeneland, came back and ran 3rd at Churchill Downs before they closed down. But Nene Hudson did beat him that day. But kind of been one of those that keeps kind of getting better and better. Did run in the Breeders' Cup, ran 2nd in the Charity Stakes before that. So a horse that's got talent. It's kind of just been, like I said, hadn't broke through yet. So I think this is an interesting horse. I'm with you. I like Eyewitness better than I like Nene Hudson when it comes to the Wesley Ward horses. So, and I was just initial thoughts. I don't know what the price will be, but Charging, I don't like at all, really. I think that was, I looked at Brad, being a Brad Cox, you looked at it. I just thought that horse was really bad last time out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely bounce back off of that one. The race before was pretty good at Keeneland. Yeah, I don't know, just totally stopped last time out. Doesn't look like this horse is going to be as fast as some of these other ones in that race either. So that could be a trouble. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm not a big fan just looking at this horse. For the second, third time through here, going to have to really improve off of the horse, I guess, just went way too fast in that last race.
Yeah. Okay. So PPs aren't out yet, but it is on time form, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Looking at it now, but Gaslight Dancer to me. I mean, it's a tough race because they're all right. I mean, gosh, the whole field really has got a over 100, almost 100 time form number. So they're all kind of tightly packed there, and you got a few, like you said, Uncashed, who's got a big buyer or a big time form number, but that was on the dirt. So what's that going to translate to? So it'll be interesting to see. But that's on Sunday. Obviously, go to racingdudes.com and look for our picks as well as analysis of all those races, the ones you haven't that haven't come out yet. But before we end this, the stakes picks. You can't say the Diana because that's kind of a given of the weekend. But what's the stakes race at Saratoga you're most looking forward to?
It's a weird question, right? Because you have the Diana, and then these other ones to start this meet, they're not ones you stay up at night dream or thinking about.
No.
I guess the Kelso, I think that's going to be a really fun race. So I'll say that one since I can't say the Diana, but I get that. That's really not fair that what I said to lump the Kelso into that though, because they do. That's actually a huge race for a grade 3. So I think it's far and away the Kelso as far as, betting, plus it's really competitive and there's stars in the race.
Yeah, I would say that. I would go, since you said that one, I'll give you the Coronation Cup tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just think that's with Love Reigns, it's like what that horse could be. It's kind of a superstar course. It's hard to be one when you run once a year, but does have a ton of talent. And if there could be an upset, or it could be, it's a turf sprint. So, crazy things happen. It should be an exciting race. So I am looking forward to that race on Friday at Saratoga. But there you go. There's the first look, picks, and analysis of the opening weekend at Saratoga. All the stakes races. Good luck, and good luck for the entire meet this year at Saratoga. Ooh. My mouth is dry after that one.
There's a lot of talking.
We're gonna do this every time? No.
No.
This felt like that kind of weekend where it's like, well, yeah, the Diana, but it's like, let's just talk about them all because I don't feel like you can. I mean, yeah, the Diana is the main one, but that's easy, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when the Diana only drew 5, it's like, well, you can't come into a podcast centering it around the Diana. Like, even you talked about every horse and in detail, you're out of, you got what, 10 minutes on it, maybe?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
um, yeah, I think, next week, really every week from here on out, we'll set up more like a regular pod that we do, where it's here's an in-depth race and here's rapid fire, because Haskell, Jim Dandy, Whitney, 4-star Dave, and then all the Del Mar races that I'm forgetting. Um, you know,
Dude.
it's gonna get wild.
And by the way, like they get kind of announced today, not that it was total shocker, but that Forte is going to run in the Jim Dandy. So it kind of confirms that Tapatrice will probably be in the Haskell. And the Haskell right now, dude, is shaping up to be, well, probably the 3-year-old race of the year so far.
Yeah. Do you have the updated probables for that?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, because you're right. It's shaping up to be a real good one. Last I saw, haven't seen an update yet on that though.
Kind of like a who's who, really, of as far as the 3-year-olds go. You've got Extra Neho. So now you've got the kind of we don't know what he is quite yet. How great is Nate? Arabian Lion. These are all possible / probables. Mage, Angel of Empire, which I don't know. I don't know if Angel of Empire is going to run or not. Salute the Stars, Arabian Night, Tapatrice, and Go Rocket Ride. So not only do you have like the Tapatrice, and you've got like the Mage, but you also have like the Extra Neho, which we don't quite know what he is yet. We have the Arabian Night that we don't know really what he is. Go Rocket Ride, we don't, you know what I mean? Like these are horses that showed signs and then they went away or whatever. And so not only do you have those kind of the established ones, but you got the new shooters, so to speak, as well.
There's no way Arabian Lion and Arabian Night are both going to be there, right?
I mean, I'll put it this way. Arabian Night, and this is all on Horse Racing Nation as far as the stakes probables, which I use a lot for that, is Arabian Night is the one probable. Arabian Lion is possible. So you would got to think Arabian Night would show up there. Although Badford's been known to flip-flop and make it and change things. So you got to think, you would assume, right, that one of them will be run there and then one of them will run, maybe stay out west.
Or Jim Dandy,
or go to Saratoga. The other thing to this is, my goodness, the Travers is shaping up, because if you count this as a quote unquote qualifier and then throw in the Curlin and then throw in the Jim Dandy, I mean, it's shaping up to be, that Travers is truly going to be the Midsummer Derby, right? Because that's exactly, because you'll get, hopefully, the horses like I just listed, the Extra Nehos who couldn't make the Derby, and the Go Rocket Rides that couldn't make it, Arabian Night. No, hopefully we get to see those too. So then you can really see what we have to we're working with. And then you've got in the Jim Dandy, Mage, this is possibles, Mage, Angel Empire, and Hit Show, Reincarnate, and then probables are Disarm and Forte. So a couple other ones as well that are very interesting. So it's shaping up to be a hell of a summer from the 3-year-old department.
That's interesting. Reincarnate's on the list. I don't know where that puts Arabian Lion. Do they try to maybe sprint Arabian Lion again?
I don't think. I mean, I doubt it, because he acted so like they really wanted to stretch him out,
And they also were talking about stretching out Fort Bragg. So
yeah,
there's a lot of mystery.
Well, he's got a lot of horses right now. You
talked about the Travers, how good it could be. All these horses right now are mapping out their way to the Travers, right? So, like you just said, Haskell, Jim Dandy, they're all splitting up. They're all coming together for that one. Angel of Empire. I was talking to his ownership group over the weekend, and I said, "Where's next?" And they said, "Oh, Travers for sure." I said, "Well, were you prepping?" He goes, "Oh, we'll do Haskell or Jim Dandy," right? That's the answer most of the time. It's like, we'll do one of those two, but Travers, right. That's where we're going. So there you go.
See, a lot of hate on Arabian Lion in the chat. I feel like Arabian Lion is sneaky and getting better and better. So we don't know what, yeah, Arabian Night certainly at one point seemed like the big brother to Arabian Lion. But we'll see what he comes back as and what he is. I think Arabian Lion though, I wouldn't consider him the fake Baffert though. I think he's coming into his own a little bit.
Explain what you would want of him to do differently in his last few races. I guess is how I would respond. I mean, he very well could be fake, but I don't know how you look at the last 2 races and think, well, he could have been better on that day. You know, he's been really good.
I'm already having like nightmares about how I'm going to bet the Haskell. I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong, but I've got two horses I really like, at least from like a fan perspective, an Extra Anejo and Go Rocket Ride. You know, both are on my fantasy team, but it's like, it's one of those races that you feel like a bunch of them could win. And I mean, the fact that Asmussen is running Extra Anejo in the race is pretty telling, but at the same time, I haven't really loved him, lately. So it's like, I don't know what to quite do with that. Go Rocket Ride, I really like. So we'll see what he's about. But man, all that said, it's like whichever Baffert shows up, we know how he runs in the Haskell. We know what he does with these horses when he ships these horses to this race. It's hard to go against whoever shows up.
What do you think of Tapit Trice?
I think he sucks.
I think he's going to run in this race, though.
Oh, he'll run in this race. There's no doubt about it. But he's a bum. I hate that.
Well, I was just checking to see if you're gonna play him or not. I mean,
this horses that run second and third, maybe fourth in this race. Bet him.
I have been hearing he's training like a monster, Jared. I think you should go after him one more time.
This will be the race he wins. You better believe it. Listen, Verifying is a turd, and he barely beat him in the Bluegrass. That race is showing that, maybe not that all that great. And so, I don't know. He had every chance to win the Belmont. I mean, Will Tapit Trice. I think he's one of those horses that I'm just smart enough to get off the bandwagon now versus 2 years later when he's still doing the same stuff. So,
I think you can kind of say, hey, we need to put him second, third, and I think he could be useful in that regard. Honestly,
for sure.
I don't think you can bet him to win ever until he proves he's not crazy.
I say that, and then as soon as I see him on the track, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'll bet him. All right, fine. I'll do a little bit because he's so damn good looking. I just can't stand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need my friend. So will you be my friend to say when I'm having the urge to bet Tapit Trice, I can just say, hey, I'm thinking about doing it, and you say no.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk you out of it for sure. I
don't like the confidence. I need someone else.
I just can't. I can't see a world where he can. You just mentioned it, you're like, oh, this is going to be a great field. Woo. You can't play him if you think it's going to be a great field, And I think that's. I get it. Like I get, yeah, he's beautiful and everything, but he just hasn't. He just hasn't done enough.
Dude, the more time goes on, now granted he hasn't ran a race since Belmont, but the more time goes on, it's like the more, because we started comparing him to Tacitus a little bit late, and it's like he really might be Tacitus, not only in the looks department, but just that idiot horse that kind of runs good enough every time to give you a little hope, but not ever good enough or smart enough to actually win the race. So,
well, I'll tell you this: I was with Tacitus. I thought he would roll in the Jim Dandy. I really liked him. And when he did what he did that day, I've never thrown my phone because of a horse except for that day. Because he was so much the best in that race, and he just found so many ways to lose. I remember I was sitting at my mother-in-law out on her deck, and everybody was drinking, and we're kind of just sitting around. I had my phone. I was watching my phone. I took that phone and I threw it across the yard, and I never bet him again. And it was the best feeling ever that I never bet him again. So don't have I want to throw my phone across the yard moment is my recommendation there.
Well, the thing is like he's not, because there's been like a lot of comments about like having used, will there, Dr. Tang, will there ever be a wedding, and like the thing about him is like you're never gonna get because of the connections, because of the the breeding and the purchase price and all that stuff, he's going to run in all these big races, right? And so it's not like you're like, oh well, maybe a softer spot. Well, there's not going to be any softer spots. It's going to be the Haskell, and then the Travers, and then the Pennsylvania Derby, and then whatever. And so it's just like it's going to be tough to find that. It's you're almost just you're gonna have to hope and pray that he figures it out one time, and that's when it's going to be. And unfortunately, I don't think I'll be the guy that has him.
I don't really know. I don't really know. He can't. I just don't think he can win Haskell, Jim Dandy, Travers, Pennsylvania Derby, those kind of races. I don't see how he does it. I don't see his path unless he just gets lucky and catches a kind of a rough field.
Kevin says he would still bet Tacitus tomorrow. There's a few of you. If he showed up in a race tomorrow, Vinny would bet him. He would tell you about why that is, this is different. And there's a bunch of you out there, so I'm not singling you guys out because I was with Tappa Trice for a race or two. So I get it. I know the itch. But okay, before we end this, let me ask you this, because I was talking to our good friend Jim Gluckson from the Breeders' Cup earlier today. We were emailing back and forth, and he does all the press and stuff and for the Breeders' Cup, and we've become good friends with him over the years. And we were talking about, because we do the rankings for the Breeders' Cup Classic rankings, and he's like, who would you vote number one if tomorrow? And I said, well, hands down, it'd be Cody's Wish right now. And I said, but it kind of feels like one of those years, if he doesn't like the distance or whatever, that one of these 3-year-olds could have a big second half and make a case for winning the Classic this year. And so my question, a long way of asking a question, is, is there any of these is it Forte? Is it one of these, Extranejos or Go Rocket Rides or one of the Arabians? Who is it? Do you think it most possible? Obviously, we have a lot to learn here, but who do you think has the most potential to improve, July to November?
Arabian Night would be my answer. That Michael, right on cue. Arabian Night would be the answer for me. I look at these 3-year-olds and look, it's going to be one of a few things. Cody's Wish doesn't get the distance, and it's a classic that somebody's going to win. Somebody has to win it. There has to be a winner of the race, right? And it could be anybody. It could be a Mucho Macho Man type of year, a Fort Larned type of year, where it's just like, they weren't very good and somebody won it, right? The Pletcher horse that totally escapes my mind right now that won it. Like 4 years ago at Santa Anita. What the hell was that horse's name? Can't remember. Dan had him in the fantasy league. Anyway, it could be that type of classic. Or Cody's Wish could like the distance and they're probably in big trouble. Or Arabian Night is the real deal. Because I think that is the one horse out of this whole crop.
Vino Rosso.
We watched him and he goes, yeah, that's a star, right? Even Forte, even when he was running good and winning races, you don't look at him and say that's a superstar. You look at him and go, that's a good horse. He tries. I mean, he tries is how I describe my stupid horse, okay? He's better than he tries, but he's not an elite talent. So, but you looked at Arabian Night, you looked what he could do, and you go, yeah, that's kind of got an elite talent. Go Rocket Ride, sort of. We haven't seen that wow race from him, but he feels like he could be that type. I'm more interested in horses that fit that description than horses like Forte, Tappa Trice, and those the types that we've already seen. Maybe an Arcangelo gets better. That could be another one, right?
Definitely feels like, because there was a time. By the way, it was Vino Rosso.
Vino Rosso.
By the way, it's like it feels like there was a time when Arabian Night was, he feels like it was a dream. That's how quick he was there and gone. But it was like, oh yeah, that horse. He could win the Derby. Like that's the best 3-year-old, hands down. And in fact, I think we ranked him number 1 for a while. So it's like, it's not totally shocking to think he could come back. Now, can he come back and what really happened and took place, like that, we'll find out. But if he were to go and ace the Haskell and look really good, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if it's not Cody's Wish, I mean, sure, there's a couple of those older horses that could win, but I don't know how, if the race was tomorrow and say Arabian Night comes back really strong, I would rather bet him than say, rattle and roll,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, whoever it is. And again, is assuming Cody's wish, if isn't as good or whatever. Like that could be a big assumption. But my point is, I'm more interested in these 3-year-olds that are untested, undeveloped, that we don't quite know enough about yet than I would be some of those older horses who I feel like we know.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's exactly where I'm at with it. Now, that's not to say a horse that we've seen doesn't jump up and really improve. Like take a Two Phils, for example. He kind of felt like one that was, oh, he's getting to be a little bit of a monster. I would like to play him against older horses. And then he was gone. So, I mean, that could happen with another horse as well. But I mean, as of right now, and let's forget about Cody's wish, West Willpower or Rattle and Roll. Like those are the kind of the two.
Yeah.
I would put Defunded in there on the West Coast. Like he's pretty established, but that's a Mucho Macho Man type winner. That's a Fort Larned type winner. That's a Vino Rosso type winner. Not to say they can't do it or that never happens. I mean, it happens. Drosselmeyer, I'm just thinking of horse off the top of my head. Those are the type of horses that win the Classic when the older horses aren't great and the 3-year-olds don't come up. So listen, between right now, well, really, let's say Haskell, next weekend and the first weekend in November, that's the time where a 3-year-old has to step up and say, hey, I'm the horse to beat actually in this thing. I'm the one. You think of an essential quality, right? If we had an essential quality this year, he would be, if he had that kind of summer, boom, he's the one now. He's the one we're going to have to beat. And he could win it versus not having to face Nick's Go the year he ran in it and having to face West Willpower.
Right. Listen, like, and I say this stat pretty much every year in the Breeders' Cup, supplemental guide we do for like the 14 trends to the Breeders' Cup that we give out free every year. And I say this stat every time and until it's not relevant, but 3-year-olds have won the Classic 4 times. Well, 4 times now in the last 9 years. And all 4 were trained by Bob Baffert. Like there's if it's a 3-year-old winning, it's usually Bob Baffert. And last year, I mean, yeah, Taba, he damn near got second, right? Of course, Flightline was in a different realm, but he did everything he could to get Taba to win the Classic last year. And that's just kind of the trainer that he is with these 3-year-olds. Like he knows he can get them to that big race, especially ones, you look at like Airgate, obviously he was a freak of nature, but even like Bayern, a horse that kind of had his issues early on and then took some time off and then came back and got better late. Maybe that is like an Arabian Night situation where it's like had some talent, had issues, figured it out, whatever. Now he's back, and that's what he kind of peaked him at the right time to win the Classic. So kind of feels like it does have Arabian Night, and even if you can hate Arabian Lion, but both of those Bafferts do fit that bill to somewhat.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add. I think that was perfectly said. And I think with Arabian Lion, you see the sprints and stuff, and it's like, I don't think you get them out on the quarter. But Arabian Night, I'll never forget it after the Southwest. I thought it was the oddest comment ever. Bob Baffert, Arabian Night just wins the Southwest. You're thinking, all right, this is a Derby prospect. And he goes, we're going to have a lot of fun with this horse in the summer. And I thought, well, how odd is that? Then they shut him down, basically. They said he had a poor work or whatever. He probably had a little issue, but whatever. And now he's back, and it's the summer, and we're coming from the Southwest and saying we're going to run in the Haskell. It's like, yeah, he's really high on this horse. So if he can kind of come around to the expectations that Baffert has for him, the sky could be the limit for him. He's got to still go out and do it, but I think you said it. Like the longer we go, we kind of realize Taba is not great, and he still got third in the Classic. So if Taba could get third in the Classic, Arabian Night could be better than Taba and jump up and win it in a weaker year as well.
And it kind of makes you think, like, if the based off of the fact we didn't see him after that and his comments, it's like, what percentage was Arabian Night even that day? Was he like at 20% or something? Like they clearly had no intentions of running him into the Derby trail and that kind of stuff. Like they knew they had a good horse, but wanted to save him for summer. Man, and he still kind of gave you the impression that he could win the Derby based off how he looked in that race. And so it's like, okay, that might be a beast of a horse. And so, yeah, it's good to see him hopefully coming back. And by the way, I don't know if the Chuvy is at Saratoga, but same weekend as the Haskell, we're going to see Nest come back. So Nest is going to make her return. her 4-year-old returned against Clairiere and played hard in that race as well. So get Clairiere versus Nest. And maybe Secret. I don't know what Secret Oath might be on the farm at this point. She probably if she sees Clairiere and Nest in the same entry, she's like, nope, not even the coach can't get me to run in this one.
Okay, I've had enough of that one. Yeah, I can see that.
Please take me to the farm. So, but no, it's good to see Nest back, hopefully, and be interesting to see how she runs off that long layoff. All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Check us out at racingnews.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing News Premium button at the menu at racingnews.com to learn more. Remember to go check out that Best Bets page at racingdudes.com. Just click on the main menu and click on Best Bets. Now that Saratoga has started, you'll start seeing a lot more Saratoga horse racing plays on there. So make sure you stay alert for that. Obviously, you can get an idea of what that is by just going to that page and seeing our stats and our profits, our wins, losses, how we've done in certain types of sports and leaderboards and all that good stuff. All the team at racingdudes.com has picks, individual picks, our best bets for every day. So make sure you go check that out, especially, like I said, now that Saratoga has kicked off. The Racing Dudes, we're on Twitter at @racing_dudes, Instagram and Facebook. Again, now with Saratoga, we'll be there live a few times, so it's a good way to kind of follow us and see if we're there, and whether it be us or Vinny or I guess if we can ever get Slim out of retirement at some point, maybe he'll be at Saratoga. Magic at Del Mar. I'm sure Somich will appear at a few different of those tracks as well. He'll be at Saratoga a lot as well. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, all the places you listen to. We are there, as well as the Magic Mike Show. So make sure you go check out the Magic Mike Show. I know they didn't aren't recording today. Did they just do opening day?
They did Friday.
Okay, they did Friday.
Yeah.
Friday. Did they?
Yes.
Okay.
They did today. They did Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's listed as today, so I don't know.
They did? Was it today?
It says opening day preview.
Oh, well, yeah. They did that on Monday, and then they did Wednesday. They did Friday.
Okay. Well, maybe he just put him he focused on that one for today.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I got it. Yeah. Saratoga late pick 5 on Friday. Make sure you go check out the Magic Mike Show. It's episode 480, if that helps you. Magic has them out of order on the website, which is confusing me even. So make sure you go check out the Magic Mike Show, both on all those channels as well as YouTube. Make sure if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We will be live. We'll be doing videos all meet long at Saratoga and Del Mar. When is Del Mar? Is that Friday?
Del Mar opens next Friday.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it'll be here before you know it, and then once these meets start, it almost feels like you blink and football's starting, and then we're talking about the Breeders' Cup.
You're right.
These meets go by so fast, and I mean, hell, it's already August almost, and we're going to be going into September and football. By the way, shout out to my boy Pat Mahomes for winning male athlete last night in the ESPYs, as well as the Chiefs got the best team. So
I would hope so.
Took down the OU Sooner girls, so suck that.
Oh, wow. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That's not right.
Tell your dad that when you talk.
He's not going to be happy at all.
You guys are going live. Matt, Mahomes had I don't know if did you watch? You probably didn't watch the ESPYs.
No.
He had a suit on, and he had no shirt underneath it. It was a pretty solid flex.
That's weird.
Yeah, he looked good.
That's even weirder.
I've told you. You know my rule, okay? He's my only exception.
I didn't like that.
Make sure you stick around and watch Dudes Who Bet Sports.
Don't like that.
Don't like that either. At 6:00 Central Time. So here in about 30 minutes. So stay tuned. I love it. Okay, that's my. Hey, listen. We all have our people. I know you used to. I think you told me Baker was yours one time. So.
No.
Yeah, I heard it. I think Kyler.
Actually, like you just said.
Oh, never mind. I misunderstood what we were talking about. Final thoughts.
No, I think it's time to go. We've been on the air too long. If you're talking about this,
just wait. It's gonna get worse once the season gets here. So
that's right. It's true.
Shouldn't have hang on. While we're here, I'm thirsty, as Shoddy said.
Don't put it up on the
I
screen.
want to pull it up. I'll pull up Twitter for you. Mahomes SBs. He look at this. It's even got your girl that you loved. Everyone loves, I should say.
Who? Oh, you're.
Brittany.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's favorite Mahomes. Or no, I guess technically when you have his brother, it could be worse. So
could be a lot worse.
Where is the? Oh, there it is. There you go. Look at that guy. It's a power couple right there.
What do you think he'd be doing if he couldn't play football?
Well, thank goodness he can. You could say that about a lot of the guys.
True.
What would they be doing if they couldn't?
Yeah.
It's like you got to imagine, like it's almost it's got to be surreal for someone. I mean, if you're that good at football and pretty early on in your high school into college, like, yeah, I'm pretty good, but you never imagine like you're the superstar athlete, that some of these guys become, that you're just a normal dude. And I think he is as normal as he can be, considering where the position he's in. It's like to just go to where everyone knows you have millions and millions and billions of dollars, and how do you I don't know how you do stay normal at that point,
He's doing a decent job of it.
He really is. All things considered, especially considering some of what's going on with his family. It's amazing that he is where he's at.
You look at exactly what you just said, where the rest of it is versus him. He's doing a really good job. So that's the thing. When a player is really good and he doesn't play for your team, I know he plays for yours, but when he doesn't, you want to not like him, and there's really nothing to like about him. I mean, so much so that they have to pick on his family because there's nothing to pick on him about.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like if he wasn't very good, or if he was a douchebag or whatever, then his family, with Jackson and stuff, like then it'd be like, he'd get thrown on the bus with him, basically.
Yeah, right.
But you don't even hear about, like, it's almost like it's still Mahomes, but you don't ever hear about them being correlated at all.
No.
So it's pretty amazing considering. It's just like I feel like you're like, dude, just stop. Just go. How much money do you want? I'll give it to you. Just go away.
Please go away and never talk to me or look at me.
I'll buy you an island and just stay there. Like no Wi-Fi though. Get off TikTok, please.
There's never been a kid you need to tell more. Get off the internet and just go do something else.
By the way, and I know, not that I care, like, because I don't, but it's like I don't. You would assume. I would assume that. I thought he was gay, right? Like, I think most people would. But
yeah,
he's like, all these allegations are like he's grabbing women's asses and groping them and stuff. And it's like, I can't figure that out either,
Even whatever you think he is, he doesn't really fit that mold, right? No. He doesn't seem to be an aggressive person.
No, not even a little bit. Like,
right. Yeah. So that is, I agree that it was surprising that like if he's like making a scene, like yelling at somebody, that's one thing, but like, physically assaulting people is not something I thought I would hear from him for sure.
Here's a better question. What would Jackson Mahomes be doing if Patrick Mahomes wasn't good?
I don't know. Well, probably the same thing he's doing, just living with his, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how he would. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how he would survive.
Even like, I'll say this, even as Chiefs, like all like the Chiefs fans and like me, like it's just like we kind of live with his wife, Brittany. It's like we don't, because it's like,
yeah.
But with his brother, there's not. I don't think there's anybody that's like, oh, he's so funny, or it's like, just go away. No one likes him, which is saying something, because we typically, if you're associated with a player, we love all of them, right? But that guy, he is just. I like the guy that robs banks in the Chiefs, KC Wolf costume more than I like Jackson Mahomes.
Well, Brittany gets a bad rap. I mean, She's loud and annoying, but there probably a lot of them are. Wives, the player wives I'm talking about. And she really seems like a pretty good person. Where Jackson's just a jackass, you know?
Yeah. Well, don't worry. I'm not interested in him. So
okay, good.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in to Blinkers Off again. Make sure you stick around for Dudes Who Bets. What are you guys talking about? Dudes Who Bet Sports.
We're going Saratoga late pick 5. 22 minutes away. We'll have a combined ticket. We did this for Belmont 2 weeks ago. Went 4 out of 5. Of course, got knocked out in a stakes. We were super upset, but we'll have another one this weekend. Oh, hey Ryan, yeah, it's good to see you too. Good to meet you. That was fun meeting you guys. And tune in. 21 minutes away. We'll do the Saratoga late pick 5 on Saturday.
All right, there you go. That's something to do. Go get you a drink. Go take a little bathroom break and be back for Dudes Who Bet Sports. All right, guys. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend and good luck at Saratoga this year. See you guys.